Hello there, Tom here from the Run Testers with another running shoe versus. In this video we are going to be comparing the Hoka Clifton 9 and the Saucony Triumph 20. Let's have a look at what we thought. The Hoka Clifton 9 costs £130 or $145, weighs in at 247 grams or 8.7 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 5mm. The Saucony Triumph 20 costs £155 or $160, weighs in at 264 grams or 9.3 ounces for men in a size 8, and the drop is 10mm. The Clifton 9 sees some modifications to its predecessors, specifically to make it lighter and to offer a higher level of cushioning. It's a shoe designed for comfort over daily runs, featuring a softer compression moulded EVA foam midsole, a breathable engineered knit upper, and a gusseted tongue. The shoe also includes an early stage meta rocker to improve heel to toe transition, a modest covering of outsole rubber for grip and durability, and geometry designed to improve stability. The Saucony Triumph line is one of the most popular for runners that want a high level of cushioning for easy sessions, long runs and daily training miles. The Triumph 20 sees some upgrades to its predecessors with a modified PWRRUN Plus midsole foam to make the ride lighter and softer, along with a new geometry that sees an increased rocker and a smoother transition. In addition, there are changes to the lacing system and the upper material. Other design features include a PWRRUN Plus sock liner for comfort, a heel counter for better stability, and a healthy covering of outsole rubber for grip and protection. Nick, fit in these two shoes, hit me.
Normal fit in these two shoes, Tom. I was pretty happy, true to size in both shoes. I think maybe the Hoka is slightly tighter a little bit, but nothing that was a concern for me overall in the long run. So yeah, I was happy true to size.
Yeah, these are two shoes that are basically designed for widespread appeal, partly because they are very comfortable and there's a nice bit of space in the forefoot in both of them. Yeah, I definitely go true to size in both of these shoes. So the run test, Nick. Now these are two shoes that some on paper they might not necessarily be under the same classification all the time, but they pretty much are. You know, we use them for the same sort of things now. How has the run test been for you in these two shoes?
Disagree with you straight away, Tom. I would classify them as slightly different types of shoes myself, but I suppose they do both fall into the cushion daily trainer realm these days. In the past, you might have seen the Triumph as more of a pure cushion shoe, but today a cushion shoe means like 45 mils of cushioning, and this is a much more versatile shoe than that. So the Triumph 20, really like this shoe. I've been a long-term fan of the Triumph line. I think this is one of the best versions in a long time. Just a really good traditional shoe that does a bit of everything very well. It's cushioned really well. For such a cushioned, not that light shoe, it is reasonably versatile. It's the kind of shoe that I'd happily recommend to new runners to just have as their only shoe, use it for everything, and more experienced runners might use it more as a cushion shoe, but just a very solid shoe. The Clifton, I didn't really know what to expect. I haven't really liked the last few versions of the Clifton, it's fair to say. Like on paper, it seems like quite a nice idea. It's a big cushion shoe, but it's still quite lightweight. Actually, in the realms of today's shoes, it's not an overly cushioned shoe, and it is a lot lighter than things like the Triumph. And I did notice that. I do think this is probably more of a daily trainer for me. Like, this is something I was a bit more comfortable going up to faster paces in than the Triumph. It's still not exceptional at that. Definitely daily trainers I prefer for that kind of thing, but probably what stood out most in the two shoes is that this was a little bit lighter on the foot, and it's also got a more rocketed ride for me. I find I can get into quite a nice rhythm with this, whereas this feels good underfoot, but it's a bit more snappy for me. It's in terms of the ride feel, not the pace, and it's just a slightly different ride feel. It's a bit more traditional, whereas I probably tend to prefer a more rocketed ride in my shoes, and I think the Clifton delivers that. But yeah, it's interesting. They are quite similar shoes in their purposes, but the Hoka feels a little bit, despite the fact the foam in the midsole isn't anything too exciting, it feels maybe slightly more modern to me in the way it approaches the run with all the rocketed and all that kind of stuff going on. But how about you, Tom? How did you find the run in them?
Well, Triumph is battling all the time against the New Balance More V4 for me as my favourite cushion shoe for easy day runs, that sort of thing. I do think it has a nice rolling action for me. I feel like I can consistently run in it very comfortably, but it doesn't feel like it's too cumbersome like some cushion shoes. So yeah, it veers more towards that daily shoe world for me with quite a bit of cushioning. But the Clifton 9 is, I've made it no secret in the past that I've never been a fan of Bondi or the Clifton. And I think Hoka is an interesting one because originally, years ago, 5, 6 years ago, it was a brand really known for having cushion shoes, and I never really knew where the Clifton and the Bondi fitted into that. But yeah, now I think the Clifton has become more of a daily shoe, and up until this version, I've always thought it's not a very good daily shoe because it has quite a firm, dull ride, or the previous versions had a firm, dull ride. I never really enjoyed them for longer runs. I just felt they were just didn't get anything back from it. Didn't feel like they were helping my legs or anything like that. The updates to the Clifton 9 I've actually been really impressed with. It's not miles away from the previous versions, and it's not like they've used a completely new foam or anything, but that foam is a bit softer, and just feels there's a little bit more energy in it for me, and as a result, I do quite like this shoe now. I mean, it's not. There are other shoes that I use over it for daily runs, but I think this is a good contender now, and it delivers a far superior ride to the previous versions for me, and definitely it's gone to become a shoe that I will pick up now when I want to go for a run, and I never said that about the earlier versions. So yeah, and I'd probably say I'd be happy to train this for anything from like 5k up to like half marathon training runs.
Yeah, I always find with Hoka shoes, until the Rocket X2, which does have a great foam in the midsole, like basically it needs to be about the geometry to make me like it, because the foam is never that great. Like they have stuck quite resolutely to using lots of EVA foams, dual density foams, and they've never been that lively. And the shoes I have liked in the range have been things like the Mach 5, where really I just like the very smooth rocker, and it's less about the foam and more about the way the shoe's been set up. And I think that's the improvement I seem to enjoy from this Clifton compared to previous. It's a bit lighter, the foam's a little bit better, but it just seems like a much better shoe to get into sync with and get into nice rolling rhythm with. Where I'm working at slow paces or faster paces, it just feels just better underfoot. Whereas, yeah, I don't have anything against the Triumph on that front. It's just I probably just prefer the ride action of the Hoka a little bit myself. But this might be the shoe that suits people a bit better in general, just because it has a slightly more traditional feel, and it's definitely not going to let you down. But yeah, I did really like the updates to the Clifton this year. It did make me think it was a much better shoe. Again, not like a shoe that I'm desperate to use every time, but it's just a shoe that I could see, like you say, using as a daily trainer for a bit of everything, really.
So the verdict, I think we've both made it slightly clear in the run test, but which one are you going to go for out of these two shoes?
Well, I think I would go for the Clifton out of these two shoes myself. I just prefer the way it feels on the run. I like the fact it's a bit lighter. It still feels more than well cushioned enough for me. It's a lower drop and just feels like a nice shoe to tick over in at a nice range of paces. The Triumph 20 is a great shoe, though. I'd be very happy if this was the shoe I had to use instead, and I think it's a very accomplished all-round cushioned shoe with a great outsole, big thick outsole, really durable shoe. Will suit everyone really well. But yeah, I think I'd probably just prefer the Clifton ride feel myself. How about you, Tom?
It's interesting. If you said that a year ago, I would have been very surprised.
Slap me in the face.
You would have gone for that. But yeah, I'm going for the Triumph still. I still love the Triumph. I think it's a great shoe, solid, comfortable, reliable. If I was to go somewhere for like a couple of weeks and take one shoe, and I was mainly just doing easy runs and clocking up the miles, Triumph would be on the list. Yeah, and I've never had any issues with it at all. I just think it's always been a really good, solid shoe, even with lots of new ones that have come out over the past few months. So yeah, I'm going for the Triumph 20. But I would say that the Clifton 9 is pretty close, and I never thought I'd say that. I think it's a really good improvement on the previous versions. I do enjoy running in it. I think that foam there's something to it now which makes it an enjoyable ride, and I never found it to be enjoyable before. The only reason that I wouldn't pick it over the Triumph is I just think the Triumph has got a little bit more of a bit of energy return to it than the Clifton 9 does, and it's just a more enjoyable ride for me. I just feel like I can get a nice fluid motion with it, which I don't get as much in the Clifton 9. But I think both are good shoes, and kudos to Hoka for making those improvements to the line. Yeah,
I think based on our verdict, I'd say these are two shoes that we'd both be happy to recommend to lots of people. If you could try them, you might just instinctively prefer one of the ride feels, and that would really be the way to make a decision on these, probably, unless there's drastic differences in price.
I think that's very true. And when I talk to people about getting new shoes, I have told people before to get the Triumph based on what I know about them, and most of the time they're people that have used Hokas in the past, and they've got the Triumph and they didn't really enjoy it. So they've gone back to Hoka. So I think there's definitely something about the feel of a Hoka shoe that some people just really like. And the Clifton 9 is, the Clifton range is such a legacy brand that people pick up all the time to get the newer versions. I think what Hoka have done is quite good in that they haven't massively changed it, but they have improved it to a point where if you're a long-standing fan of the Clifton range, you're not going to be disappointed in this. You might notice a slight difference and go, actually, I quite like that change. But they haven't dramatically changed it. So I think if you're a Hoka fan and you want to carry on that feel of a shoe, I think this is a nice improvement. You might get it and go, actually, I really like that improvement. Well, that's it. That's our comparison. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all those sorts of things that you hopefully do if you get this far. And if you go to the caption below, you can also find a link to our podcast, which you can listen to when you're out on the run. Lasts about an hour or so quite good for anything over 10k. And if you like it, leave us a rating and let us know what you thought of it. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.